Hey, solos. So I wanted to record a little. I'm back from Disney World. This is what I did. Thank you all for following along on Instagram. Little mini podcast. And I was like, oh, I have to go into my office and record something. I just want to stay in bed. Disney World's hard work, y'all. I am not complaining. This is the best hard work there is, but gosh, you definitely need some time to recover. And then I was like, oh, I can just record it on my phone, because the whole weekend I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to share with all you solos how awesome my week at Disney has been. And so hopefully the audio works on this. But hi everyone, I'm Samantha. Olaf may not know who I am, but you do. And thank you so much for subscribing and listening to the #1 podcast about solo travel to Disney World. So if you've been following me on my Instagram, and so many of you have for this last week's trip, you know that I just got back from a week of Disney. It was a semi-solo trip, and it was my birthday trip, and it was just incredible. It was it was hot and it rained every day, but as I said in the summer episode that I did, you just have to expect that. And it was really, really awesome to have so many of you send DMs and comments and likes and all that stuff when I was posting on my stories. And it's not like you want to necessarily be by yourself at Disney. It's that you don't want people to harsh your vibe. So it was so awesome to have so many of you, like I said, connect with me and be like, oh, I remember this, or can you take a picture of that? Or I'm feeling nostalgic to go. All of that stuff that builds so much fun, magical energy inside and outside Disney World. And that's why claiming your Disney solo magic inside and out the parks is just so wonderful. So I did so much on this trip. First, I stayed at Fort Wilderness, the cabins, the classic cabins with my mother and I. We stayed there, and this was the second year that we did that. And I think it might be the last year. All the classic cabins are getting replaced by these DVC cabins, the Disney Vacation Club cabins. And I don't know, I don't think the design is as good, and it certainly did not feel quite the same in the areas where they had the new cabins. I'll do a little mini review of Fort Wilderness in a bonus episode, but you wouldn't necessarily stay at a whole cabin if you were going solo, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the cabins necessarily. But one of the benefits of the cabins, or one of the benefits of just staying at Fort Wilderness, is that you literally are in the forest, and there are deer everywhere, and you can rent a little golf cart and drive around. Now, I know some of you live in places where deer are very plentiful and driving around a wooded foresty area might be very close to what your normal life is like, and that is awesome for you, but it's not for me. No, it is awesome for me, but that's not what my life is like. The first time I saw deer really was last year at Fort Wilderness. I live in a city, in a building, I don't drive in my normal life, so to be able to drive around and see deer was just oh my God, it was just so magical. And Fort Wilderness just has this extra magic because it really is forest, and you are taking the boat to and from Magic Kingdom. That's the primary way that you get to and from Magic Kingdom. And so the cast members always have these great stories, and you pass the original Discovery Island, and you pass the original River Country water park. It's not there anymore, but the site. And yeah, I'll talk about that in another little bonus episode, like I said, but it was just so magical to be able to be there for that. But on top of that, we did Keys to the Kingdom. It was my second time doing it. The first time I did it solo, the second time I did it with my mother. It was a totally different experience both times, not because I was there with somebody, but just because of the tour guide. So if you've done it, like feel free to do it again. We also did Celebration at the Top, which is a dessert. It's called Celebration at the Top, Sip, Savor, and Sparkle at the California Grill, which is a special event that they do. It's kind of rare. I don't know. They're very, like, you can't book too far out. They don't actually release the dates too far out. But I was able to do that on my birthday, and you can see the fireworks, and they had all these like yummy savory foods and also dessert. So it's like a dessert party, but with actual savory foods at California Grill. It was really awesome. It was a really special thing to do on my birthday, but I wouldn't recommend doing it solo. I will talk about that more in a later episode. But there was a woman who was solo there, and like she was so awesome. Maybe she's listening to this because I met so many cool people on this trip, and she was so awesome. She had this really cool itinerary that I wanted to take a picture of, but she had like her flight details, and I thought that would be kind of weird and creepy. I wouldn't recommend doing it solo. I don't think it's a great thing to do solo, but I will in that episode give you some alternatives that are like perfect for what you would get for going up and doing this Celebration at the Top. We also left the property. We took an Uber and we went to the Vineland Outlet Mall because I wanted to go to the Disney Character Warehouse Outlet. Are those the words in the right order? And it was it was so dangerous. Like, do not go to that outlet unless you have another suitcase for all of the merchandise. Like, I bought glasses, like Encanto drinking glasses for $4.99, regularly $14.99. I bought a Haunted Mansion rug. If you've been there in the last year, you might see it. It was part of their like bathroom collection that was regularly like, I don't know, $34, $39.99, and I got it for $10. It was so dangerous. But like leaving the property, oh God, that bubble gets burst really, really quickly. We also went to Portofino Bay, which is a Universal Studios resort, just to walk around because my sister actually lives in a Italian town very close to Portofino, and whoa, that was a wah, wah, wah. It's definitely not Disney. So there was that. I went to the Halloween party solo, and so many of you commented on these like crazy great spots I got for the fireworks and for the parade. And there's going to be an episode that comes out on Tuesday that I'll talk all about that. And that was a really, really fun experience. Like I said, I did that completely solo. And so the episode that I've recorded for, it's a long one because there's a few parts to it, is going to talk about going solo. I also rode Slinky Dog's Dash for the very first time, thanks to the encouragement of so many of you. There were like, it wasn't a ride that I ever prioritized because the lines were always so long, and I'm not really that connected to the Toy Story story, and I don't really love roller coasters, but I was able to get an advanced lightning lane, and again, because of the encouragement of so many of you, I was like, I'm definitely going to try to prioritize that, and I did, and I loved it, so thank you all very much for that recommendation. I did an archery experience when I was there. I did that solo. I also did Tasteful Artistry, which is like a painting activity that you can do with a glass of wine, although I don't drink. I did it with a glass of Sprite, which isn't really quite the same value for money. But next week, I'm going to do the episode on the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party. The week after that, I'm going to talk about the Food and Wine Festival because I went that first weekend. And then the week after that, I'm going to talk about all the things that you can do at the resort, like how you can have a really great time at Disney but never actually go to the parks. And so I will talk about Tasteful Artistry, I'll talk about archery, I'll talk about horseback riding because I did that one time, I'll talk about the mosaic making, I'll talk about all of that. So I'm really excited because like sometimes those are my like favorite my favorite memories at Disney because you just, I don't know, don't necessarily get a chance to do those things in like your daily life. What else? Well, let me tell you, it was such a wonderful, fun-filled trip. And so much of that actually had to do with doing so many things solo. So when like I go with my mother, I'll get her tickets for a couple of the days at the parks, but I have an annual pass. So I would do so many things on my own. And there were so many opportunities at this trip where people said to me, like, how many of you are there? And I was like, oh no, it's just me. And they're like, oh, okay, well, come on in. And so I was able to ride Tiana's Bayou Adventure twice because of that. I also, and this might have been a highlight. I also got to take pictures in the lobby of the Hollywood Tower of Terror. Like, I got to go behind the gate and stand in front of the fireplace. I got to walk around. They told me some stories about a couple things. And they were like, how many of you are in the party? One? Come on in. It was amazing. I got pixie dusted some food because the thing was down, like the payment system was down, and it was just me and my one little snack. Like, gosh, going solos is so wonderful. And it was nice to have a balance because I had my mother there because it was, like I said, birthday trip and we stayed in the cabins. But so much of the trip was so special because of these moments that I created that were solo moments. And I can't wait to share them all with you. So I'm going to try to get as much as I can of reviewing elements of the trip in the content through September and in October if I have to. Hopefully I'll get everything in September, but we're already kind of midway through, right? It's going to be September 15th, next weekend. Anyway, all right, until Tuesday, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. I'll talk to you then. Bye. Hey Solos, it's Samantha. I hope you enjoyed this episode as well as all the episodes of Disney Solo Magic. It has been so wonderful to create this podcast content for you and to help build this community of conversations about solo travel to Disney. And I really, really thank you for participating in the conversation. It would be even extra awesome if you could participate in the conversation by letting other people know that this conversation is happening. Please make sure you subscribe to the podcast, rate it, share it with others, and even providing a review helps the algorithm let other people who are interested in Disney content find out about this podcast. You can also find me on Instagram, Threads, and Facebook, although Instagram is the best way to get in touch with me. My Instagram handle is Disney_solo_magic_podcast. And you can find links to all that social media content in the description of this podcast below. Thank you again for sharing the magic of solo travel to Disney, and I can't wait to keep creating content for you. Bye!